This is CBS News Chicago.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Dana Kozlov.
And I'm Audrina Sinclair. Good morning, and thank you so much for being with us this morning. Lots to get to, including an investigation after an 82-year-old woman is sexually assaulted in her home. How police say the suspect broke in, and now the search for them.
And a decision today on the future of several Acero charter school campuses. What Chicago school board members are expected to vote today.
And as we take a live look outside on our Thursday morning, we've got another mild day. Little peaks of sunshine here and there, but we're tracking a cool down. Let's turn now to meteorologist Mary Kay Kleiss, who's in your First Alert Weather Center. Hey, Mary Kay.
Good morning, Audrina and Dana. I'm noticing so much better visibility on the Illinois side. It's northwest Indiana still dealing with a little bit of that fog. Boy, it was dense for all of us earlier, but I just wanted to show you improvements are taking place. And the reason for that is the increased wind. We have a west wind at 12, gusting to 15. We're already at 40 degrees. Nice to see the city. I was watching the low clouds and fog a couple of hours ago, but now we have better visibility, even all the way to the lakefront. So as we roll through the day, what I expect to see is cloud cover kind of rolling back in our direction as northwest winds pick up 25 to 30 miles per hour. Our daytime highs will be slightly above average. 40 is where we usually stand this time of year. I'm forecasting the middle 40s for daytime highs. Also, there's a tiny chance of a sprinkle once those clouds come back at lunchtime. But tomorrow, that perhaps is your prize of the week. Winds will carry us to 58 degrees south of I-80. We're talking low 60s. I'll show you who will be the warmest coming up, and we have to track the cold front. Good, let's look what happens for the weekend. Dana and Audrina, Saturday, even Sunday, stuck in the 30s. I'll time it out coming up in your First Alert forecast.
All right, Mary Kay, thanks. Well, now to your nonstop news. Chicago police investigating a home invasion and a sexual assault.
And the victim is 82 years old, a woman that officers say was attacked. Officers say a man went through the window of her Auburn Gresham home around 7 last night, right at 82nd and Ashland. They say the man hit the woman in the face, knocked her to the ground before assaulting her. The suspect got away. Police are now looking for that person. The woman is being treated right now at the hospital. Our Darius Johnson will have a live report with the latest details we're learning coming up at 9:30. And we've got updates on two big trials we've been following all week for you.
That's right. The first is against the landlord accused of killing a little boy. And we want to warn you that some details from the testimony are really disturbing. The second day of testimony yesterday for 71-year-old Joseph Juba took place. Prosecutors showed the jury several photos of 6-year-old Wadia Alfayoume's fatal wounds. And one first responder took the stand as well, recalling how much blood the child lost and the excessive number of stab wounds. Prosecutors say Juba attacked Wadia and his mother because they're Muslim, referencing the events of October 7th in Israel, days before the attack. Court continues at 9:30 this morning, and Juba faces life in prison if he is convicted.
And the full jury is now seated in the case against the suspect in the 2024 4th of July mass shootings in Highland Park. Opening statements are set to begin Monday, and testimony is expected to last 3 to 5 weeks.
The NTSB says Tuesday's very close call at Midway Airport was likely caused by the private jet's crew's failure to listen to air traffic control instructions. You can see a Southwest plane narrowly avoided the jet, aborting its landing, the planes coming within 250 feet of each other.
Well, lots of students and families in limbo this morning, and the Chicago Board of Education is deciding or expected to decide the fate of several Acero school campuses.
The vote comes just a day after administrators say immigration agents detained a parent as he was dropping off his kids at one of those charter schools. Asal Razai is live in the loop right now with parents' concern and more on what's on the school board agenda today. Good morning, Asal.
Yeah, good morning, Dana, Audrina. We know ahead of that board meeting that's set to start at 10:30 here behind me, parents and educators plan to get together and speak out. That's happening at 9:30. They're hoping to save some of these schools from shutting down. We know at least 3 out of 7 Acero campuses are at risk, and that means more than 1,000 students will need to find new schools. The vote, as you mentioned, comes just a day after the Chicago Teachers Union says Reyes, a father, was arrested by ICE agents as he was dropping off his children at an Acero school in Gage Park. The community came together for a prayer vigil last night, and at that vigil, parents, teachers, and elected officials raised concerns about the possibility of Acero's Paz, Cruz, and Cisneros schools shutting down.
These families are worried about Go CPS. Meanwhile, ICE is knocking on their door.
The recent letter that was sent yesterday from the Office of Innovation and Incubation announcing that only 4 of the schools were going to be saved, not 5, has shattered the sense of security.
And in a statement from Chicago Public Schools, they've said in part there is not enough funding to maintain all of the campuses, considering enrollment loss, but they're doing the best they can to keep as many schools open as possible. We'll be inside of that meeting at 10:30 this morning to hear more on this issue, and we'll bring you the latest updates. I'm live in the loop. Asel Rezai, CBS News Chicago.
Asel, thank you for those updates. And now to some tragic breaking news overnight. Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman, along with his wife and their dog, all found dead in their Santa Fe home. The local sheriff said foul play is not expected, but didn't elaborate on any details.
The award-winning Hackman was 95 years old. His work in film and stage spanned more than 5 decades. Michael George looks back at his long career.
Whatever you do, don't sell that cow.
Gene Hackman rose to stardom in the 1967 film Bonnie and Clyde, a role which would earn him the first of 5 Academy Award nominations. He went on to bring home 2 Oscars for Best Actor in The French Connection in 1972,
Charlie?
and then 2 decades later
See what kind of books Mr. Beauchamp is packing here.
for Best Supporting Actor in Unforgiven, both roles bringing critical acclaim. Hackman was born in San Bernardino, California in 1930. During the Great Depression, his father abandoned his family when he was 13. Hackman dropped out of high school to join the Marines at just 16 years old, lying about his age to enlist. After being discharged, he studied journalism and television production on the GI Bill. Hackman got his acting start at the Pasadena Playhouse in California in the 50s, with humble parts like Town Citizen and First Mover.
Just one thing. How did you beat him?
He was a versatile actor, mastering the role of Superman's arch-nemesis, Lex Luthor, in the 80s film saga.
I think I've been very lucky that I've been offered quite a good variety of things to do. And
Hackman played a president, military leaders, and then a nuclear submarine captain in Crimson Tide. He was also a coach with a checkered past in the classic film Hoosiers.
I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game. In my book, we're going to be winners.
He says he was drawn to struggling characters.
for me, that's the most exciting, is to have dialogue with somebody while you're in peril or while you're conflicted.
Oh, God.
He showed his comedic side in The Birdcage and The Royal Tenenbaums.
Didn't seem believable to me.
Off-screen, he raced cars, competing in Long Beach and Daytona. He was an avid diver, which inspired his first novel. Several other successful books followed. He married twice and had 3 children.
Come on.
Hackman retired from acting in 2004 after a career that spanned 5 decades, appearing in 79 movies. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
9:08 this morning, as we keep an eye on your world. Palestinian prisoners just released from Israeli jails arrived in Gaza early this morning. Crowds of people welcomed them, and several hundred Palestinians were released in return for the bodies of 4 Israeli hostages. This is the final exchange of the 6-week phase of the ceasefire in the war in Gaza. Talks have not yet started, though, on a second phase, which would ultimately lead to a permanent end to Israel's war with Hamas. From prominent politicians to business leaders and celebrities, many bracing themselves for the release of more names connected to Jeffrey Epstein. The U.S. Justice Department today is expected to make public flight logs connected to the financier who killed himself in the midst of sex trafficking allegations. Attorney General Pam Bondi says that her office is working on protecting the personal information of more than 250 victims in the Epstein case. And Pope Francis is still in the hospital this morning, and he has reportedly shown some slight improvement, but the Vatican says he is not out of danger and still not doing well. Last night's prayer service in St. Peter's Square was led by Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re. He is the dean of the College of Cardinals, and if a sitting pope dies, the cardinal's job is to preside over the pope's funeral and organize the conclave to elect the next pope. Well, the Trump administration pushing for more cuts to federal spending.
The new warning for federal workers and the jobs on the chopping block. And if you follow the Doomsday Clock, scientists say we are closer to world destruction than ever before, but not to scare you. One of the researchers behind it says he's still optimistic we can turn it around.
And we are seeing cloud cover coming back this afternoon, maybe a brief sprinkle, 46 for a cool daytime high with those gusty northwest winds. However, for your Friday, southwest winds are going to push some super mild air into our neighborhood, 55 in the city, but 62 in Kankakee. I'll let you know how long this mild air sticks around in your first alert forecast.
It is now 89 seconds to midnight.
It was a small change, but a frightening one. Last month, the Doomsday Clock was moved forward 1 second. Now the Doomsday Clock measures how close we are to total annihilation. At 89 seconds to midnight, it is the closest it's ever been. But believe it or not, the goal isn't to scare you, it's to make you take action.
Okay, it's a little scary too. Our Joe Donlan found out why one of the people behind it is actually optimistic about our future.
We're at a moment of incredible danger. Everyone is freaked out. What are we doing? We need to turn the clock back. This part here is related to the Doomsday Clock.
University of Chicago professor Daniel Holtz is one of the people who moved the Doomsday Clock forward. He's the current chair of the Science and Security Board at the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, which has been tracking the risk of world destruction since the atomic bomb was invented.
It's a symbolic thing. We're trying to capture the urgency of the moment.
And at this moment, Holtz says we are threatened by nuclear weapons.
We want even more and even better weapons, and you can ask why, but we're doing it, China is doing it, Russia is doing it.
Climate change.
We just came off the hottest year on record. There are fires, there's floods, there's extreme drought.
Biohazards like pandemics.
Because of travel, because of kind of modern life as we know it, pandemics have a tendency to go much faster, and we saw that with COVID.
And even artificial intelligence.
If an AI hallucinates and ends civilization, that would be a bummer. This is the closest the world has ever been to midnight.
But the clock isn't meant to depress you. It's designed to inspire you.
We're hoping that by bringing attention to this, people will react accordingly, and the clock will be turned back.
And it did turn back in 2010. So what would make Holtz and the Bulletin move the clock in the right direction again?
Heads of state saying, whoa, we do have to talk. Let's not just demonize each other, but let's sit down and try to make a deal. Let's try to work something out. That is progress.
And there are already positive signs on climate change.
The world is increasingly aware, and citizens, people in the streets are increasingly aware. We need that to kind of trickle up, as it were, to leadership. To work with the Doomsday Clock is a fundamentally optimistic endeavor. If we were convinced it was hopeless, there's no point in spending one's time doing this.
Thanks to Joe. Well, in case you were wondering, the Doomsday Clock was invented in 1947. It was initially set to 7 minutes to midnight. The furthest from midnight it's ever been was 17 minutes, and that was in 1991 after the Cold War ended, and a new treaty greatly reduced the number of nuclear weapons.
It is 9:16 this morning, speaking of clocks, and we are turning to our first alert weather right now. Hey, Mary Kay, how are we looking out there?
All right, Audrina, Dana, good morning. We have this weak disturbance traveling over the lake, and that could squeeze out a brief sprinkle of rain for us today. It also may fill in the cloud deck behind it, and it will definitely set up a northwesterly wind component. In fact, those winds could gust 25 to 30 miles per hour today out of the northwest, so that's a cool wind flow for us. But tomorrow, we turn the winds more southerly and southwesterly, pushing some of us to 60 degrees for daytime highs, but it doesn't last very long. There's a cold front coming, and that's going to chill us down for the upcoming weekend. At least it's bright, but we will be in the 30s both Saturday and into Sunday. So let's time out this front, because today, as I mentioned, these are the wind gusts. Northwest winds, 20 to 25 miles per hour. That will be the case. So it's going to feel cool out there because of the winds coming from the northwest. Then tomorrow morning, they shift. They become southwesterly, but huge winds for the morning rush. We're talking wind gusts 40 to 45 miles per hour. This model giving O'Hara 42 mile per hour wind gusts at 8 in the morning. Then we'll watch the progression of our cold front. So the sooner it moves through, well, that's going to cut off the warmth we're going to be feeling on Friday. So I think there's this window of opportunity between about noon and 3 o'clock that it's going to be super mild. Then the front comes through. Notice the wind arrows coming northwesterly all over again Friday evening. That means once the front crosses your neighborhood, then you start feeling those cool changes. So here's tomorrow with those winds. So I think between noon and 3, that will be our daytime high, because notice by 5 o'clock and into the evening, the temperature starts dropping as we move through time. So for today, there's that tiny chance of a sprinkle. Friday is your mild day, 58 degrees. And then on Saturday, we are into the 30s. Right now, we're holding at 40 degrees, better visibility across the city. Looks so nice for us. So with that front coming through, we chill down Saturday and Sunday into the 30s. 32 only for a high on Saturday, 37 Sunday. At least it'll be nice and bright. But then as we get March rolling next week, look what happens. 40s and 50s coming in. Our best organized chance of rain, Dana and Audrina, looks to be Tuesday and Wednesday into next week when a real soaker kind of takes shape. But in the meantime, today is just kind of breezy and cool, and tomorrow, that's the day that you will love.
Oh, can't wait.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Mary Kay. Well, a new NASA mission to help us learn about the history of the universe. A NASA engineer joins us live ahead of this weekend's launch.
Dana and Audrina, good morning to you from the Yoga Seed in Lincoln Park. This is a new yoga studio that just opened up in October, and they are the first yoga studio in the city of Chicago to offer the Yoga Tune-Up tools. So these are basically different sets of balls that kind of help you release some of the tension in your back and your legs and your whole body. So coming up in about 20 minutes, we will share how they have some very interesting other classes, including like a yoga therapy class, which is something that I had not heard of before. So we'll tell you more about that coming up in 20 minutes, but we'll see you right after the break.
Yo, what's up? It's your favorite neighborhood historian, Dilla, and I believe that everything dope about America comes from Chicago, including some amazing Black history. Today, I'm here to tell you about the first ever recognized Black Catholic priest in the history of America. His name is Augusta Toten. He was born into chattel slavery in the 1850s, and his family would find freedom by rowing a boat across the Mississippi River. They escaped from the slave state of Missouri into Illinois, where they eventually would settle in Quincy, Illinois. He attended Catholic schools where he showed promise, and a lot of people poured into him. He tried to go to seminary in North America, but because of his race, he was rejected from every seminary school that he applied to. Eventually, he was accepted in a seminary all the way in Rome, where there he was ordained as a Catholic priest. He would return to Chicago, where he helped found St. Monica, which is now St. Elizabeth, and that church would go on to be an anchoring institution for Black Catholics for decades to come. Father Augusta Toten was an amazing writer and preacher, and he was featured in newspapers throughout the country. In fact, Father Augusta Toten is in the process of being canonized, which will make him the first ever African-American saint in the history of the Catholic Church. This goes to show you that when given the proper opportunity, you can become a history maker. Shout out the homie, Reverend Augusta Toten.
Well, now to a new NASA mission that really just sounds like time travel. There's a new telescope that's about to be launched that will reveal what happened just seconds after the Big Bang. It's part of a rideshare launch happening this weekend and one rocket for two very different missions.
Sphere X is a telescope that will take images of our sky and search for key ingredients that make life on Earth possible, while Punch will learn more about the sun's atmosphere and its impact on our planet. Like stuff to make your mind go pew. To learn more about these groundbreaking projects, we're joined by NASA Sphere X Project Systems Engineer Jennifer Rocca. Thanks so much, Jennifer, for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Can we begin now with an overview of what Sphere X is and the scale of what the mission hopes to accomplish?
Absolutely. So Sphere X is a near-infrared astrophysics mission, and our purpose is to go up in space and take a giant three-dimensional map of all of the sky outside of Earth. We will capture in that map about 450 million galaxies and be able to retrace steps back to the beginning of the universe itself, just after the Big Bang.
And Sphere X will also be searching for key elements of life, like water and ice. So how do you think those discoveries might benefit or really impact our own resources or how we see them here on Earth?
Yeah, so the special thing about Sphere X detectors is that they have rainbow-colored glasses, just like these. And the glasses in Sphere X actually have 102 stripes, not just the 7 that we see with our eyes. And the value of those stripes is that we can actually choose wavelengths or stripes that help us look for certain elements in interstellar space. And so by choosing the right wavelengths, we're able to locate places where water, tied up as ice outside of the solar system, it could be located in the universe. And the value of this is, to our knowledge, we need those ingredients in order for life to flourish. And we're using Sphere X to help us find where in the celestial sphere that ice might be located.
Oh my gosh. Okay, it really is mind-blowing. You've worked on this project for over 5 years now. How does it feel as you near launch day?
Yeah, so actually I worked on this project for 10 years at this point, and I remember being on the proposal where it was just an idea written on a cocktail napkin, and it's really gratifying to see it as it's a beautiful piece of hardware just getting put inside the rocket fairing this morning, and we're really excited to see it go up in space and get first light in that telescope.
Wait, what'd you put on a cocktail napkin?
We draw what we want to build first and dream up these new ideas. We propose them to NASA. NASA selected us as a mission, and then we get to build it. It's really fun.
So we're drawing stick figures over here. You guys are, and you guys are creating masterpieces. We do want to ask you, can you briefly tell us what scientists hope to learn from the other mission, Punch?
Absolutely. So we're really fortunate that we get to use one rocket and launch 2 incredible science missions. Although they do different science, ours is an astrophysics mission, Punch is a heliophysics mission, and it is taking a similar all-sky survey, but of the entire sun. It has a very special instrument called a coronagraph, which basically puts a spot in front of its eye so that it doesn't have to look really brightly at the sun, but it can see the glow of the corona of the sun that's around it, and hopefully understand how that corona turns into the solar wind. That's really important, not just for spacecraft that are flying in space, as the sun and the solar wind that it creates changes the space weather that our spacecraft have to deal with, but it also can affect systems on Earth. You've heard sometimes about GPS outages or stories about the aurora being especially bright and seen at lower latitudes than usual. And this is all an impact of the solar wind. So it really does tell us things, not just about the universe, but it also tells us things about life here on Earth. And I think it's a really wonderful mission that we're really happy to carpool with to space.
Wow. Congratulations. I mean, 10 years in for you, and I'm sure the team, if you add up all the years, it would be just infinite. Right now, the launch date targeted for this Sunday evening at 9:09 Central Time. Jennifer Rocca, thank you so much for being with us, NASA Sphere X Project Systems Engineer. Thank you.
I hope it goes well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, next, actor and singer Leon joins us live in studio to talk about his band going on tour, and they've got a stop here in Chicago.
And new this morning, President Donald Trump promising to move forward with his plan to impose tariffs on Canada and Mexico next week.
This is CBS News Chicago.
Good morning. I'm Adrena Sinclair.
And I'm Dana Kozlov. Thanks so much for being with us. It's 9:30. We really appreciate it. Ahead this half hour, you may have seen him in some popular TV shows and movies. Actor Leon is headed to Chicago with his band, and he joins us live to talk about his upcoming show.
And things are looking up in the weather department. First Alert meteorologist Mary Kay Kleiss joining us for a warm up on the way. And we have got some sunshine out there, which is nice too, because it was really cloudy this morning.
And super foggy too, Audrina and Dana. There is a weak disturbance traveling over the lake, so some of the cloud cover from Wisconsin may try to move in and maybe try to squeeze out a brief sprinkle of rain, but otherwise it's not going to be a bad day. What it will be though is breezy. Winds now are sustained at about 15 miles per hour out of the northwest, but gusting to 22 in DeKalb, 23 Aurora, and also into McHenry. So we will have chilly winds increasing here throughout the day. We are standing at 41 in Waukegan, 43 downtown, and 42 degrees in Kankakee. So what we're tracking are those cool northwesterly winds today. Tomorrow's the day when we push some areas to 60 degrees, especially south of I-80, but it doesn't last. I am tracking a cold front that's going to bring some chilly changes for the upcoming weekend. In fact, our 3-day forecast shows tomorrow 58 degrees, warmer south of I-80. Cold front comes through later in the afternoon, so you'll want to see the timing of that if you have Friday night plans, because we are left with some cold air for the upcoming weekend. I'll time out that front in your First Alert forecast. Back to you.
All right, Mary Kay, thank you. And breaking overnight, police are now looking for the person who broke into a home and attacked and sexually assaulted an 82-year-old woman.
Darius Johnson live in Auburn Gresham, where it happened for us this morning. Good morning, Darius.
Hey there, good morning. Yes, we know it happened inside an apartment here on 82nd near Ashland. Take a look at this video. Chicago police say it was at 7 p.m. last night when a man climbed through an apartment window. Inside, there was an 82-year-old woman. Police say he hit her in the face, knocked her to the ground, and sexually assaulted her. That woman was taken to the hospital where she is expected to be okay. Back out here live this morning, Chicago police say that the suspect ran off. They also haven't provided a description of the suspect or given any additional information, nor have they said if there is a threat to other women who live in this neighborhood. Reporting in Auburn Gresham, I'm Darius Johnson, CBS News Chicago.
All right, Darius, such a concerning story. Thank you. Well, people in Calumet City are planning to expand their search for a missing patient with dementia. 72-year-old Chester Polusiak, who you see here, was last seen at a home near 165th and Wentworth, and that was 2 weeks ago. He's known in the community for his kindness towards others. If you have any information, please reach out to Cal City Police. And renovations at a decade-old Chicago Housing Authority building are finally done, and they're being unveiled today. So there will be a ribbon-cutting ceremony at the Edith Spurlock, Sampson, and Sheffield apartments in Lincoln Park. That's set for 10 this morning. There are 80 new units. There's going to be mostly for families and then 11 units for seniors. And the CHA renovated about 400 existing units. Now, the building's actually been there since the 1960s, and then renovations started a couple years ago. Mayor Brandon Johnson and some other community leaders are expected to be out there to celebrate.
New this morning, if you are buying something from Canada or Mexico, it could cost you more starting next week. President Trump plans to impose tariffs on those two nations on Tuesday, March 4th. He claims illegal drugs like fentanyl are being smuggled across the border, but provided no evidence for that allegation. Trump also says import taxes would force the countries to crack down on trafficking. On the same day, the president also plans to double the 10% tariff on Chinese imports. Also today, President Trump is hosting the British Prime Minister at the White House. As Jared Hill reports, it comes amid discussions about Europe's role in ending the war in Ukraine.
We've had tremendous.
President Donald Trump is doubling down on DOGE.
I think everyone at this table is very much behind it.
At the first cabinet meeting of his second term, the president's senior advisor, Elon Musk, defended efforts to slash federal spending and chop the federal workforce.
If we don't do this, America will go bankrupt.
Wednesday, the president signed an executive order expanding the Department of Government Efficiency's power to make more cuts, specifically proposing they trim as much as 65% from the Environmental Protection Agency. The White House is also directing the heads of federal agencies to prepare for large-scale reductions in force.
This country has gotten bloated and fat and disgusting, and incompetently run.
During Wednesday's meeting, President Trump also discussed Russia's war on Ukraine, acknowledging that Russia may have to make some concessions. Trump also announced he'll sign a rare minerals deal with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington tomorrow.
We're going to be working over there. We'll be on the land, and in that way, there's sort of automatic security.
The Russia-Ukraine war is likely to be a key topic when the president meets with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer today at the White House. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Another topic at the cabinet meeting, the deadly measles outbreak in Texas. 2 people have died now. A child who was unvaccinated was the first person to die in the U.S. from the highly contagious disease in a decade. Even with the Texas outbreak turning deadly, here's the response from HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Incidentally, there have been 4 measles outbreaks this year. In this country last year, there were 16. So it's not unusual. We have measles outbreaks every year.
The measles outbreak has grown to more than 120 cases in Texas since last month. Before the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine was introduced in 1963, 400 to 500 people died from measles every year. Public health officials say someone can have measles for up to 2 weeks before symptoms even start to show. The virus is very infectious. It can linger in the air for up to 2 hours after somebody has left that area.
The Pentagon plans to kick transgender service members out under a new policy, and the official guidance was made public in a court filing that just came out yesterday, and it's part of an ongoing lawsuit over President Trump's executive order. Now, the memo says the Department of Defense only recognizes 2 sexes, and any service member with gender dysphoria will be released. Back in 2018, there was an independent research institute that looked into this and estimated there were about 14,000 transgender troops serving. Now, as for the lawsuit, a judge agreed to hold off on any decision until she saw the department's official guidance implementing it. The next hearing on this case is set for next month. Meanwhile, a Chicago-based nonprofit suing the Trump administration over those recent executive orders that restrict DEI programs and also federal funding. The group is called Chicago Women in Trades, and they say they work mostly with Black and Latina women, and that Trump's orders directly threaten to keep them from expanding economic opportunity and mobility for women. Now, this lawsuit argues the executive orders in place right now make no effort to actually define or describe the types of DEI activities or speech that might cause organizations like the one filing the lawsuit to lose their federal funding or even their contracts.
Coming up next, Leon and the People's Band going on tour with a stop right here in Chicago. Leon himself joining us live to talk about that upcoming show.
And we're taking some time for some wellness. In today's Jumpstart, we're live at a brand new Lincoln Park yoga studio using a different type of approach.
And we have a chilly northwesterly wind today, keeping most areas in the middle 40s for daytime highs. But as we get into tomorrow, we are expecting to touch 60 in some neighborhoods. But then a cold front's coming for the weekend. I'll time it out in your first alert forecast.
Welcome back this morning.
Our next guest you may know from his many TV and movie roles, like playing Alonzo on The Chi, The Temptations miniseries, and starring in the Little Richard biopic. But actor Leon is also a musician, as I'm learning this morning.
Yeah, and he and the Peoples are performing at City Winery, and it's happening this weekend. Leon joining us now in studio. Thanks for joining us here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Yeah, definitely. Coming to the Windy City, they always give me a lot of love. I love it.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Sold out at the City Winery last year.
Yes, yeah, we had a great show last year. They were waiting for us. It was fantastic.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that. All right, so you have a reggae soul group. What are you looking forward to about this upcoming performance? And tell us about the group.
Well, we play a blend between reggae and soul music, so we move butts.
I love that.
and I kind of consider ourselves like the Sly and the Family Stones of reggae. Because we have, my band is half women, half men.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we play, music for the people. We blend reggae and soul, and some people say, I don't know if I'm really into reggae. I said, well, listen to our music, you'll be into it.
Well, I know we were talking too, because I was asking you about your start in music, and you've been doing this a long time, 15 years, you said, and it's all original.
Yeah, mostly. I mean, all our music is original music, except we do some interesting covers. A couple, you know,
Any
on our
Marley,
show.
you know, everybody.
No, none of that. No. We'll take a soul song maybe and you know, rock it in a reggae version or something. Yeah.
What's one of your best covers that people really like move their butts for?
Wow, a cover. Probably "Lovely Day."
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah.
Love
probably
that.
"Lovely Day." Yeah.
That is on my happy song list, by the way.
Yeah. No, everyone loves that song.
All right, so you've got that coming up too. But tell us kind of how you got your start in music.
Wow. Music kind of, you know, actually when I was in college on a basketball scholarship, actually, I wrote and performed a song for the Special Olympics. But, you know, I'm a trained actor. I studied acting hard, and so that kind of took off. And as I became well known as an actor, I started hosting, you know, music festivals, and I'd be backstage with the artists. We'd be singing together, and they're like, "You should sing," you know, like, why not? So I joined a band in New York, and they just wanted to do cover songs. So I started my own band, The Peoples. And then I had to pull a David Ruffin on them. And we call us Leon and the Peoples because we got better gigs that way.
There we go. When you bring in the star power, you know, people might join it. Have you ever thought about doing some type of musical, since you can do the acting and the music?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, definitely. I'd love to. Yeah, I've done music movies. I'd love to do a musical. Yeah, of course.
That's so amazing.
So I know while you're in town, so your show's Sunday night at
City Winery at 7 o'clock.
But you're also going to be playing a gig, if you will, playing out at the Cook County Jail. Tell us how that came to be.
Actually, a good friend, my neighbor Kevin Bacon, who has a band.
Oh,
actually,
I've heard of him.
Yes, he suggested it to me. He said, you know, we did this and they would love you, Leon. And so he connected me and they asked me to do it. And I said, I would love to do it. You know, I was one of the originators of the show Oz on HBO.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so, you know, I kind of studied that side of life, you know, people behind bars. And I realized, you know, these are people who need entertainment, need to be joy in their lives. Some of them are wrongly accused, and some of them, you know, should be out and part of society. So why not give a little bit of society and, you know, entertain them for a bit.
Have you ever done this before? Played in a jail or a prison, or will this be, so this will be the first time?
No, it's be the first time I've ever done it. So when I've portrayed, Little Richard has done it a few times, and so.
Well, you know, I was looking up this program because it's a concert series at the jail, and it's all about using music and the arts for rehabilitation. And I just thought that's so powerful for you to use your star power, like we just talked about, to do that inside that space while you're here in Chicago.
Yeah, no, it's great. You know, anytime I get a chance to do something, you know, that can benefit people and use my platform, I think it's great. You know, people always ask me about, you know, being a star, and I said I'd much rather be a star in real life than on screen. So
yeah, I get that.
That's a good thing to be, for sure. I love that. Well, thank you for coming in studio here to chat with us. We appreciate you coming in and talking about the show coming up.
No, definitely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it as well.
And have a great show Sunday night, Leon.
Sunday night, City Winery.
Go rock out with him.
And again, Leon and the Peoples performing at City Winery. Here's the information on your screen right now, March 2nd. So as you're making your weekend plans, this is something you definitely want to put on the schedule. And now it's 9:46, returning to our first alert weather. And Mary Kay, it's getting a little better out there.
Yes, it is. A little hint of sunshine, Audrina, as we look live at Daly Plaza. But I do think clouds will be filling in later on today because gusty northwest winds will keep it cool. We could even squeeze out a brief sprinkle, but not a big deal. Tomorrow, the big deal are the warm winds, carrying those temperatures to hit that 60-degree mark, especially south of I-80. But the cold front is coming for the weekend, so we're in the 30s both Saturday and Sunday for daytime highs. So today we have that tiny chance of a sprinkle and 46 degrees. Tomorrow we're going 58, but warmer to the south, and then we taper it down to 32 for your high on Saturday. So let's time out that change, because on Friday those mild winds are going to really pick up in the morning. They could gust to 42 miles per hour. This is 8 o'clock in the morning, a very strong southwesterly wind component, but that's the key in the warming that we expect to take shape as we roll through the day. In fact, future temperatures show that we move out of the 40s quickly. Here comes the cold front, though. I think it's going to cross our area sometime between 2 and 3 in the afternoon. That means once the front is through, you got to get on the other side of it with those chilly northwest winds taking over. So this warmth is kind of short-lived. Notice how we're planting 60 from Ottawa to Morris to Kankakee to Rensselaer, and this is in the 1 o'clock hour tomorrow. I think 1 to 3 is going to be the warmest part of the day because then the front comes through. Then we start turning those winds west and then northwesterly, and temperatures start dropping, and that cool wind kind of takes over as we get into the evening. So for tomorrow, plan on some big winds all day long, and plan on that daytime high peaking right after lunch and then getting cooler as you head out for the evening. Looking live across the NIU campus, notice the clouds kind of gathering there, coming back in our direction for this afternoon. We are at 40, but we're watching this weak disturbance kind of pinwheel over the lake, and the cloud deck you see from Wisconsin may be increasing for us a little later on today. So 40s for us with those gusty northwest winds for today, and then our 10-day temperature trend shows that our normal high is 40. So once that cold front comes through on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're really going to struggle in the temperature department, but at least it'll be sunny. 32 on Saturday, 37 Sunday. And as we get that first big full week of March rolling, we are going to be unseasonably mild, especially Tuesday into Wednesday, and that's our next chance for some organized rain. But in the meantime today, just plan for some cool winds and that big warm up for your Friday. Audrina, Dana?
Thanks, Mary Kay. Well, we are slowing it down a bit this morning, taking some deep breaths in this morning jump start because we are at a new yoga studio in Lincoln Park.
Yeah, it's called the Yoga Seed, and it just opened in the neighborhood. And Jackie Kostick is there live, giving us a preview of what we can expect if we go there for a class. Jackie?
Dana and Audrina, good morning to you. Yes, just to sort of situate us in Lincoln Park, this studio, the Yoga Seat, is right on Clybourne, so it's just a couple businesses down from Pequod's, which I feel like is a perfect opportunity to come here, roll your body out, get nice and zen, and then go have some pizza. That's like my perfect day or night. I'm here with Allison English, who is one of the instructors here at the Yoga Seat. Allison, good morning once again.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Oh, of course. So let's talk a little bit about, once again, the yoga tune-up method and these tools that we use. There's 4 different sizes of balls that you can use. You can either use them singularly or in this little pack. But how do they work on the body?
So the tools meld around your body. They were created by Jill Miller, and they reach really deeply through skin and fascia and muscle in order to create lots of release, pain relief. Yes. And in line with our studio vision, they really help you nourish your body. They help you to understand how your body moves. They help you to feel better in your body.
Yes.
They can be used for athletic performance. They can be used for pain relief. They can be used just to make your body more aware when you're doing any kind of movement modality, yoga or other.
Yes. And I love what they're doing right now. This is a rollout of your forearms. And I think what's really cool about these tools is that they can be used on just about every part of your body. And for athletes, I mean, we know like the Shamrock Shuffle is coming up soon. There's a lot of races, so great opportunity for runners to come out here and get sort of worked out, right?
Absolutely. Even on Sunday, we have a special workshop for athletes, and that could be anyone who's running the Shamrock Shuffle or anyone who's active in their daily life that can benefit from these practices.
I love it. Allison, thank you so much for your time this morning and describing how these tools are used. This is Emily. She's actually a yoga therapist who teaches a class that does not use the tune-up balls here, but it's called Bloom and Breathe. Emily, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay, so what is involved in that class and how is it used? Because it is a different form. It's really yoga therapy, right?
Yeah, so yoga therapy focuses a little bit more on the mental and emotional side of the practice. So we use movement and breathing and meditation for anxiety and depression.
Do you have a lot of folks who are coming in and getting a lot of benefit and relief and release from some of those symptoms?
Absolutely. Oftentimes I ask people to kind of rate their anxiety or stress. Sometimes they come in with a 7 or 8 out of 10, and afterwards sometimes it's like a 2 or a 3.
I love that. And you said you listen to what they have going on, and then you're treating it through the body. You're treating it through these movements and motion, right?
That's right. And I typically focus on the mental health aspect, but we also work with autoimmune diseases or pain or fatigue, whatever's going on with that particular person.
Wow. Okay, this is really special. So thank you, Emily, for your time. Again, we're at the Yoga Seed, which has all of these different kinds of yoga, but they're really treating, I would say, the modern person. I mean, again, this forearm exercise is great for people who are using their computers a lot. We've rolled out our necks and backs and legs, and just there's a lot of good things that you can use with this bigger size ball, which is a little bit gentler, but you can kind of release your upper back. So just a lot of good opportunities. You can come. They've got an intro special for $70 for a whole month of unlimited classes. So that's an awesome opportunity there. Christina, thank you for having us this morning. She's the owner over here at the Yoga Seat, again on Clybourne and Lincoln Park. Ladies, I feel good. I feel good in my body this morning. Back to you.
About Jackie, right?
Oh, yes. Jackie, thank you so much for giving us a peek inside the new studio. We appreciate it.
We'll be right back.
Of course.
Welcome back. Here is a look at the stories that we are keeping an eye on today.
A home invader broke in and sexually assaulted a woman in her own home in Auburn Gresham. She was attacked around 7 last night at home near 82nd and Ashland. She was taken to the hospital, and we're told she is expected to be okay.
Parents and supporters of Acerto Charter Schools rallied outside the School Board of Education meeting this morning. The board's expected to vote today on closing 3 of Acerto's campuses. That would mean more than 1,000 students would need to transfer to a new school.
What's at stake today is whether CPS and this board will stand with these families or abandon them. Will we allow corporations like Acerto to set up schools in our neighborhoods, stockpile cash, and then disappear when they're no longer making a profit?
They want the board to vote no to closing those schools. At the very minimum, they're asking to keep 5 of the 15 schools open.
The NTSB says Tuesday's very close call at Midway Airport was likely caused by the private jet crew's failure to listen to air traffic control instructions. And you can see the Southwest plane narrowly avoiding that jet, aborting its landing, the plane coming within 250 feet of each other.
And we have a chilly northwest wind taking over today, so we'll go with 45 in the city, 50 in Gary, also 50 in Joliet. Our 3-day forecast shows clouds filling in for us later this afternoon. Maybe a brief sprinkle is possible, but Friday's our mild day, 58 degrees. South of I-80, we could hit the low 60s. And then on Saturday, it is back to chilly weather. So we're tracking that cold front for Friday night. It cools us down for the upcoming weekend, but at least it will be sunny. 32 Saturday, 37 on Sunday, milder next week, and our best chance for organized rain and some heavier downpours comes Tuesday into Wednesday. So a breezy, cool afternoon for us, Audrina and Dana.
All right, Mary Kay, thank you so much. I mean, you know, you've got the rain, but then you've got those nice temps.
It's a give and take.
It really is kind of a wash to me. Well, thanks everyone for joining us here on the News at 9. Your local news continues here on the stream.
Yes, have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow morning.